Crowds of Palestinians gathered near the United Nations Relief Works Agency Aid Center in Jabalia, and people were seen waiting for their turn to receive aid today after Israel blocked the entry of aid trucks into Gaza. Israel blocked the entry of aid trucks as a standoff over the truce has been halted, fighting for the past 6 weeks, escalating with Hamas calling on Egyptian and Qatari mediators to intervene. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office said earlier that it had adopted a proposal by US President Donald Trump's envoy, Steve Witkoff, for a temporary ceasefire in Gaza for the Ramadan and Passover period, hours after the first phase of the previously agreed ceasefire expired. For more on this, we speak to senior researcher at the Mapungubwe Institute for Strategic Reflection, Mr. Naeem Jeenah joins us. Naeem, good evening. Thank you so much for your time. Really do appreciate it. As predicted, the ceasefire will not bring about lasting peace and lasting silencing of the guns in Gaza. Given that we are where we are now, what next, especially for those who had positioned themselves as mediators of peace between Israel and Hamas?
Well, I'm not sure that anyone knows right now about what's next. I mean, the people of Gaza certainly don't and are really anxious. There's already been a few attacks in Gaza by the Israeli army, and a few people have already been killed. All the aid has been stopped. And remember that in terms of what Israel had agreed, the aid that it had agreed would be allowed to go into Gaza. It was not allowing that amount of aid on any single day in the past 6 weeks. The aid that it said it would allow in was not allowed in. So Israel has been in violation of the ceasefire from day one in numerous kinds of ways. Even in terms of what is supposed to happen after yesterday's end of the first phase, it was clear to everyone concerned. Two US presidents announced this, that if the agreement is not completed about how phase 2 will unfold, then phase 1 will continue, which means that the aid going in will continue, etc., until there is an agreement on how phase 2 will unfold. Now, phase 2 was supposed to have started being negotiated on the 16th day of phase 1. Which makes it about 29 days ago. Israel has refused to begin those negotiations and still has not begun those negotiations for phase 2, and basically is now making up its own story. It's now saying that phase 1 is over, and therefore basically things return to the way they were more than 6 weeks ago, and Israel can do whatever it wants. Initially, what it tried to do was to impose on Gaza a proposal that half of the captives who are left must be released today, and in return for that, Israel will allow food and water in. This is not just extortion; these are war crimes. To use and to weaponize water and food against a population that is entirely under siege is one of the worst forms of war crimes. And that's why we are clear that the genocide did not stop 6 weeks ago when the ceasefire began. There might have been a ceasefire, but the genocide has continued for the past 6 weeks and is now being escalated by Israel.
Yeah. Given that Benjamin Netanyahu has made it clear that he thinks Donald Trump played a pivotal role in bringing this ceasefire deal across the table, and given that Donald Trump had sent a stern warning to Bibi 6 weeks ago that should he not accept this, America will not continue to support him, Donald Trump has also made his intentions clear thereafter, that he wants a reconstruction of Gaza and his likeness with all Palestinians deported from Gaza, so to speak. Do you think that the vacuum that's now being created in between phase 1 and phase 2 is exactly where Donald Trump will try to bulldoze his plan in to have Jordan and Egypt accept, or at least accept on part of Palestinians to receive those from Gaza, so that a ceasefire can continue, so that he can begin the reconstruction of Gaza in his likeness, as he said?
That plan of Trump, or that vision of Trump, there's no plan really. That vision is a non-starter. I mean, it's never going to be realizable. You can't move apart from international law and it being, ethnic cleansing and violations, etc., you can't just simply believe that you can move 2 million people off their territory magically. And you can't do that when there's no place for them to go, and there isn't. No other country, and no other country should have to. No other country is able or willing to receive these people from Gaza, and they shouldn't, because there should be a ceasefire there right now. Secondly, if Trump wants to impose this, I mean, the only way he can is if he sends American soldiers to Gaza. And that's not going to happen. There's no money for it. No one's going to pay for it. He thinks that the Arab states will pay. They're not going to pay. Congress is not going to approve it. And if they do end up going to Gaza, those American soldiers will get slaughtered much more than Israeli soldiers were in the past 16 months that they've tried to take over Gaza. And Israelis, of course, know the area much better than Americans do. So his whole plan is a non-starter. But Trump is also very unpredictable. So 6 weeks ago, he insisted that his ceasefire deal will hold. 6 weeks later, he might just decide that Netanyahu should be allowed to do whatever he wants. One doesn't know what he will do.
Yeah, Naeem, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you so much for your time and your insights. Really do appreciate it. Naeem Jeenah is a senior researcher at Mistra.